प्रिय दर्शकवृन्द दिव्यवाणी प्रस्तुतिको आजको यो श्रृङ्खलामा तपाईँहरू सबैलाई म फादर एलेक्जेन्डर गुरुको तर्फबाट जिसु बढाई तपाईँहरू सबैलाई विदितै छ हामीले एउटा सेगमेन्ट यो वर्षभरि नै गर्दै आएको छौँ र यसको टाइटल छ एभ्री वान हेज अ स्टोरी टु टेल र तपाईँहरूलाई यसरी घुमाउँदै आज म फेरि दार्जिलिङमै दार्जिलिङको भनौँ प्रख्यात एडुकेसनिस्ट दुई दाजुबहिनी नर्थ पोइन्ट भनेपछि त अब नर्थ पोइन्टको सबले नै कि त लोरेटो भनेपछि प्रायः सबले नै उहाँलाई एकदमै आन्तरिक हृदयले नै चिन्छ र यो एभ्री वान एज अ स्टोरी टु टेलमा म आज तपाईँहरूलाई उहाँसँगको यो वार्तालापमा उहाँहरूको दार्जिलिङप्रतिको प्रेम अनि विशेष उहाँहरूको जीवनकाल दार्जिलिङमा है यो विषयमा उहाँहरूलाई म पुछताछ गरेर तपाईँहरूको समक्षमा केही जानकारी म्यानुअल सर अनि क्लारा कुथिनो म्यामको विषयमा तपाईँहरूलाई दिन चाहन्छु र सर्वप्रथम जिसुबडा सर जिसुबडा गुरुआमा थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच तपाईँले हामीलाई तपाईँहरूको जीवन विषयमा केही कुरो जान्ने यो मौका दिनुभएकोमा है र सर्वप्रथम अब तपाईँहरूको बालक अपन भनौँ चाइल्डहुड है यो चाइल्डहुडकै विषयबाट सुरु गरौँ न तपाईँको चाइल्डहुड भन्दा तपाईँ दार्जिलिङमै जन्मिनु भएको है कि सरले अस्ति भन्नुहुँदै तपाईँ चाहिँ जन्मिनु चाहिँ बाहिर अर्कै स्टेटमा भन्नुभएको थिएन वाटेभर तपाईँ र यो भनिदिनुहोस् न सरकोबाट सुरु गरौँ त तपाईँको like you can speak in English also, no?
I think I'll be more at home.
Can we speak in English?
Yeah. Okay. Everyone in Darjeeling basically understands the right, sir.
I was born in Darjeeling a long time ago, and I was baptized in a Church of Immaculate Conception right over here. So I belong, although I'm a Goan, my heart is in the hills and I belong to the hills, absolutely. My father came here in the 1920s. And my mother, he went back to Goa, got married, brought her here. And my elder sister was born, and she also was baptized in our church. I'm the second son. And then between Clara, my younger sister, and me, we lost one sister in Goa. And then she went to Goa and then came back to Darjeeling. And Darjeeling is our Janmabhoomi, absolutely.
Oh, wonderful. I'm coming to that. So, madam, what about your? Okay, I'm not asking much about your childhood, which will come later on. Your love for Darjeeling, but so you were actually born in Goa.
I was born, as you said, my sister Laura we lost in Goa, but she was baptized in Darjeeling, born and baptized, and I was the youngest. So my mother had gone back to Goa, and I was born in Goa, but within a few months I was brought back to Darjeeling.
Okay, so that was only. Since your mother was there, probably.
Yes. Because at that time my father was working in Darjeeling,
Okay, like any one of you, like basically, how did your family, like did your first generation or was it your father and mother who actually came to Darjeeling?
No. I'll tell you, my father was, as you said, 20, but I think my sister, I checked with her, she said he was about 24. He was born in 1900.
Okay.
So he came in the year 1924. He left Goa in 1924 and he came first he was a musician, okay? He was a violinist and he was did his primary education in Goa because that time it was under the Portuguese.
Oh, right.
Portuguese, so he wanted to better his prospects. So being a very good musician, he used to play in the church. He was educated there in Portuguese for a while. Then at the age of 24, he left Goa and came to Bombay.
Okay.
And then from Bombay, he came to Calcutta. And then in Calcutta, he met a whole lot of musicians over there. And he came to Darjeeling.
Okay.
And after that, from 24 to 1934, he was in Darjeeling. All right. Okay. And he was playing in the Gymkhana Club band from for those 10 years. And there was a great illustrious people he played with. His band leader was an Englishman. That time with the World War and the two World Wars after that. But the Englishman was Mr. Cleaver, who led the band. And in that band there are people whom whose ancestors are still here, being my father, us, for example,
Okay.
and Mr. Wilson who used to play the drums.
You mean Patrick's father?
Patrick's father. He
Oh, okay.
he was not a Goan, but he was an Anglican married to Patrick's mother, who is
Okay.
a Goan. And they owned Lobos, which is now Park Hotel.
Oh, okay, fine.
Okay, and
That's where.
Rebecca and all are his children.
Oh, that's the mecca of
And
music, I would
yes,
say.
so, it was a meeting point, therefore we have grown up
right,
in that
right.
scene.
Okay.
So everybody knows Mrs. Guru right now.
Viveka.
And,
in fact,
and
yeah.
another iconic player was Georgie Banks, the father of Louis Banks.
Okay, fine. This is a very, very new thing which we had never, in fact, I had never known.
Yes.
Like, so actually it was music that brought your father
Yes.
to Darjeeling.
Yes.
So that shows that, what do you call that? That class of music was very prevalent those days.
It was because the bands were very important to the two lots. One was the tea planters.
Okay, yeah.
And Gymkhana Club was quite exclusive, like the Planters Club, So the tea planters used to go to Planters Club, but they would socialize in Gymkhana Club.
Right. Okay. Very interesting. Now, what I would like to ask is like, see, I have a question actually. What made you make Darjeeling your home? So was it like since your father came?
It was
you
not
were
us, it
here?
was my father and my mother,
No,
My father went back in 1950.
I studied little Portuguese for a while. Didn't know any English. My father said there's no future in Portuguese, so he brought us to Darjeeling
To study.
to study as a small boy, and he got me admitted to North Point. Okay, so I joined North Point. I didn't know English, and then I joined North Point, and then I got in the primary division. By the time in 1 year I learned so much English, I used to beat the Englishmen in English. I came first in class, then I got a double promotion, came first again, got a second double promotion, and again got a third double promotion at NP. I worked hard, but my father wasn't very rich. I still came first. And I finished my school in NP4 in 7 years in total.
Okay.
Total. I worked hard.
Okay. Where were you all staying then? I mean, where your residence?
They were born in where Eden Hall is.
Okay, yeah.
There were cottages belonging to an English lady called Mrs. Patton. That is, you can see a small gate next to between Lloyd's Bank and
Greenlace Bank you're talking about. I mean, now I see.
There's a gate there.
Right.
So that was the gate to these cottages where these three were born.
So those days there were no buildings and all.
There were buildings, but
Very few.
not these buildings.
No, I mean to
buildings
say
were
in that vicinity, like Hayden Hall side.
No, there was no Hayden Hall.
Oh, that's what I meant.
There was a bank over there, which was belonged to the Hingan family at that time, which ultimately they sold to Father Burns and the Jesuits.
So you said you started in North Point.
Yeah, I studied in North Point.
Where did you study?
I came much later, Father, because there's 9 years difference and 11 years difference between my sister and me, and 9 years
That
between
means it's almost 20 years.
Well, not
19?
No, they were my sisters. They
9 and 11 would be?
No, not together.
Not together. He's 2 years.
Right. Okay, fine.
In between, we had the other sister, Laura. So then she had gone. My sister went to Loreto.
Oh, right.
My eldest sister was a Lorettoite. So it was only natural I went to Loreto as well.
Okay.
And that time there was a group of lot of Bowen families here in Planters Club, and by the way, even Dorothy Mendes's father, that's Dorothy Phantom.
Oh, okay,
Who
fine.
belonged, she must have heard, she was in the church here, all three sisters.
I wouldn't, she's in Dehradun right now.
So their father was here, he was a Goan. Dorothy's mother, Goan, married to a Tibetan belonging to the Sherablama family.
Okay. I got in touch with her because of some work redating some baptism certificate of some from UK, some Babra auntie we call her. I have never met them, but I know Mr. Phantom. He was in the school.
You asked me, I said I'm a thorough Loretoite. All my values and all my principles and
Right.
wherever I am today, it's thanks to the Loreto education.
And in my case, I don't know my blood group, but everyone knows in North Point my blood group is NP plus.
NP plus.
It is my blood.
So, sir, actually, your love for Darjeeling, I mean, it's very vivid. That I will come. I will let you talk about Darjeeling, okay? But one thing I would like to ask you, I remember you were supposed to become a marine engineer.
As a matter of fact, after I finished school, I went to the college. I did my college intermediate science. Then I went for marine engineering to Calcutta. I qualified as an engineer. And I came back to Darjeeling to meet my father, who was not well, for a 10-day break.
Right.
And Father Stanford, the rector of North Point,
Maurice Stanford, no?
yeah, he asked me, Manuel, you were good in school, why don't you come and teach North Point?
Okay.
So 1 week I taught.
Right.
Okay, and that I fell in love with teaching. I gave up the idea of a lucrative career as an engineer to serve my school. And my 1 week has now become 57 years of teaching in Darjeeling. And it's the best vocation for me in the world.
Wow.
I don't need money, but that's worth much more than all the money in the world.
Can I add to that? Both
Sure,
of us?
sure.
We consider that we didn't make wealth, but our wealth is our students today.
Yeah. I will definitely I'll come to this because my basic point of view or my foundation of this interaction is basically on your contribution towards education. Okay, so definitely, but I would like to ask, like you've been here for so long, and Darjeeling is your home.
Yes.
And you have been, there was one of the papers which had portrayed or described or introduced you as Goan Gorkhas.
Yeah. Hamro Darpan.
Himalayan
Darpan.
Yeah. I was trying to get that copy, I couldn't get
No,
it.
I've got it. One of these days I'll bring it to you.
Oh, right. So, as okay, fantastic. This is a very dear, what do you call? Dear way of
Incidentally,
addressing.
Clara and I are known in that magazine. We are called Goan Gorkhas.
Yeah.
Our stamp is Goan Gorkhas.
Right. So, what would you like to say about Darjeeling then, Darjeeling now? You let this be a mouthpiece for you to portray Darjeeling.
Achha.
We cannot compare whether it's better or not because it has to evolve in time. And we have to move in time. That's what our education has taught us, that we have to keep on pushing our boundaries. We cannot be stuck. But there is no doubt that the Darjeeling, that we were blessed to be in the Darjeeling of that time.
Okay, yeah.
Because we were nurtured by the mountains. That time it was very unspoiled without many buildings, and we also interacted with a terrific cross section of people in cross cultures.
Okay.
So today,
If I may ask you, then no,
Yeah.
like when you mentioned cross culture, so like among like who are there? Like okay, go on. Let's say okay, definitely Nepalese.
Definitely. I'll start with the Nepalese.
Right.
My sister, I'm sure would like to say this because my sister interacted with a lot of her friends like Namju family, iconic Namju family.
Leopold.
Philomena Namju was my sister's B.Ed friend, and they grew up in
Okay.
Leopold's sisters.
Okay, fine.
Okay, Margaret and Reggie is there. So there were a whole lot, and there were a whole lot of our friends that were, Nepalese as well. So they not just that. I'd like to pay a tribute to the people who looked after us as children. They were helpers, they were workers, but we learned a lot from them. We learned hospitality, we learned love, we learned loyalty.
If I may add, we met a lot of people in our life, but from the bottom of my heart I say that the simplest people in the world are the Nepalese people.
Of Darjeeling.
Of Darjeeling are basically wonderful people, the best in the world. I mean that.
We wouldn't.
And there's no guile, no agenda. And that's why we love the hills, We love the people.
And the ones that we came up with, they were so faithful to us. They were like family. They were not. The lady who worked for us till recently she worked for 50 years.
My job, 50 years.
50 years. And she used to call Sir Baba and she used to call me baby, which was quite embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, that was the way, like...
No, because they used to look at us as, when we grew up, basically. Yes.
Okay, so that's what you call? So, like...
So that's the Nepalese father. Then the Bones were there, good group, but they didn't stay very long.
Yeah.
Then we had in schools, now both of us, we can talk about this. Our schools were like a mini United Nations because there were people coming from all countries, both schools, North Point as well as Loreto. Big batch would come from Czechoslovakia, England.
Wow.
It was like a microcosm of
The world.
the globe, the universe. So that's why we have this cross-culturalization.
Oh, yeah. That's why you brought
Then
this
there were
up.
a group of Parsis who were here.
Parsis, okay.
And we grew up with people like, you might have heard of Eric Avari, Nari Avari.
No.
The Avaris own
I've heard,
the two cinema halls in Darjeeling.
The rank and capital.
Yes. Now, Nari Avari has gone on to become a Hollywood actor.
Oh, last time
I
there was
told
a
you
talk
about
about
that He was
chosen, correct.
Yes.
Okay.
So then the Maddens were here in Central Hotel.
Nari was a student of mine at North Point. Also my cricket captain.
Excellent on
Now he's in the acting, this one, no? Yeah.
So we had a group of Punjabis, we had a group of, it was a cross-culture.
India, the best part. First and foremost, we had people from different nations. Then India with its diversity of culture.
Yeah, but because of the educational, the institutions, a lot of people came from all over the world.
Yeah, I worry by any chance rubbing shoulders with Nepal gentry.
Yes, actually we studied with, the king was his...
I taught Gyanendra for 2 years in North Point. Gyanendra.
Well, I heard they studied here, no?
Yeah.
Then even from Bhutan, right?
Bhutan, I taught...
we met Gyanendra.
You see these pictures there, half of Bhutan, all ministers, they were taught by me. My pictures there with this.
Gyanendra met you in...
He came to the reunion in Kathmandu just because I went.
Wow.
Generally never used to come. Huge felicitation for us.
Then the royal family of Tripura.
Okay.
The royal family of Kuch Bihar.
Bhutan,
where Ramadas is now. That used to belong to the Kuch Bihar. The elder sister married the Maharaja of Jaipur. She died recently.
That's why that place probably is still known as Kuch Bihar Road.
Maybe.
Yeah, it is.
The top part of Darjeeling was all Kuch Bihar. Belonged to the Kuch Bihars, and the lower part of Darjeeling belonged to the Burdwans.
So let me your views or your reminiscence or nostalgia, whatever. Okay, your view about Darjeeling. Though you are from here, but still your perspective.
Well, frankly, I hate to be away from Darjeeling at any time, even during the winter holidays. The place I love to be is Darjeeling, frankly.
Right.
So it's in our blood, Our life and soul is right here. And in those days, most of the boys and girls were boarders. Like in my final year, there were only 4 day scholars. Only 4. Till we opened up to the town, and because the rector at that time said if we have to serve, we must first serve the town before we serve anybody else.
So that's it, Darjeeling, Mero Darjeeling.
Hamro Darjeeling.
Absolutely, we hold it very dear to us.
And I was offered many jobs, Father, in Nepal as a headmaster, as a principal, one in England also in Pune. But I said, I'm not leaving North Point. My mother said, join North Point and serve the students' values that are so important in life. And wherever I went in Bhutan and Nepal and all my students, thousands of them, They talk about the forward and everything else, but they will never forget the values.
Wonderful. No, that
And
obviously.
they live it and they pass it
And
on.
I'd like to just add that my parents also said Darjeeling has given, my mother particularly, Darjeeling has given you so much, give back.
Mhm.
And that is why both of us continued in teaching.
Mhm.
And we didn't do anything extraordinary. We did an ordinary day's work, but we did it every day to the best of our ability.
Now, I was just about to ask you this question. Like, you just mentioned that you had come for a holiday and you got into teaching. You fell in love in teaching. 52 not out.
57.
57 not out.
I
So
think
that's-
God wanted me to be a teacher.
Yeah, that's your story. Clara ma'am, how did you get into teaching?
I didn't want
Oh,
to
yeah.
get into teaching, okay, because now I'm going to tell you. I was always told by my people who taught me that why can't you be like your brother? He's so brilliant. Why can't you be like your sister? She's so hardworking. So the more they said that, I was a rebel, and I
understand.
belong to a different generation, father.
I understand.
But then when I finished school, and I didn't do very well in school, okay, and I was always told, oh, you can't measure up to what they are.
Mm-mm.
So-
Comparative analysis.
And it was in me, all the time. So I didn't want to do further education. I didn't want to go into college and all that. So I wanted to become an interpreter, do languages, but we didn't have the opportunity. We didn't have the money also.
Right.
So then my sister took me by the ears and said, no, you're going to study in college. I went and met the iconic Mother Damien of Loreto College, shivering and shaking. So that is how I entered college. And I did once I went into college, nobody
Oh,
was
then she
after
went
me.
ahead.
So I
Came
said,
first to
now
the
I shall-
university in the
now I
BA
shall-
and the MA.
So now I shall show them. So not show them, but I mean I showed myself.
You took it positively.
No, I need to prove to myself.
Right.
I took it positively. I've taken. That's one thing God blessed me with. That whatever was negative in my life, I tried to make that use that to make it positive. Like when I can't do it means I can do it, and I promise myself if ever I become a teacher, I will never tell my students they can't do it.
Okay.
I
Right.
will never tell. That has been my mantra, and I've kept up to it.
So, then you've been a teacher. How long have you? Did you teach? I remember
30
seeing you.
years at Loreto.
Okay.
Was the head.
Yeah.
Before that, for 4 years, I taught music at St. Joseph's and at Mount Hermon.
Okay.
And a little stint at St. Paul's before I did my B.Ed. So I did my B.Ed, then I went into B.Ed. My mother insisted I do my teacher's training, and then I went into MA. Unfortunately, I had 11 years of music also with me.
That's a question which I have as an.
But this is what caused a very big division in my life because I was torn between academics and music. So then Mother Damien wanted me to join Loreto College. So she was after me. So I left music and then joined Loreto, but that's something I don't know whether I'm happy with that, the fact that I didn't care because I didn't have the time for
I wanted to ask you this. First and foremost, your language or expertise or what you taught was English.
Yes.
Yeah. And I had the opportunity to be with, work with you rather. You were in a different department.
Yes,
I was in a
at
different
St. Joseph's.
at
Yes,
St. Joseph's.
absolutely.
And there I saw your progress in music, your progress in what do you call that? Stage.
Yes.
This one you have staged Macbeth. If I have
Twisted Tale.
Twisted
which
Treasure.
we wrote
So
ourselves.
I always used to wonder, honestly, because music it intrigues me also,
Yes.
and that's why I've always known that you hold a licentiate in
I hold
piano,
an
from-
associate performance and licentiate in teaching music.
But as far as I've seen you, I've never seen you play. That's why I
No,
wanted to
that's
ask you
it.
this.
That's what really. But my music was never far away from my teaching.
literature, music, obviously.
Yes, yes.
Same
And
news
it helped me a lot in my academics also.
Your PhD subject
My
was?
PhD subject was a combination of music and literature.
Oh wow, fine. So now also given a piano, I'm sure you wouldn't mind.
We
can come
dreamed
to-
of having a piano in this house.
You know, I'm a bit rusty on the fingers because age takes a toll on you.
A very good lady has given us a very nice piano, so you can come anytime.
Thank you.
I'm looking for someone. I can play, but I don't read music.
Yes.
I just hear and play. So you're almost welcome. So coming to the church, coming to welcoming you. I mean not welcoming, requesting you to come to play.
Yes.
I would just like to ask. You've been both of you said like you've been baptized. You know, from a how would you see like what would you say like how would you or let's say like the evolving or growth of parish life here.
By leaps and bounds, I've seen the parish grow. It's always been a very nurturing place, the parish. But there have been a lot more people who are now, very, very active in the parish activity, and it's more local, which is very good.
Very good
And that is how it should be.
Catholic
because
presence,
they're the ones who
but
take the church.
the Catholics of our church are very, very strong.
Yes.
Very strong.
Could you name some like because see I have
See, we
come
will-
to Darjeeling. I mean, what is it? It's been about 4 years since but there may be some names like Mr. Bonnie Edwards, I think.
Bonnie was my
Yes.
classmate.
Right.
Not only Bonnie, let's go further back to Mr. Edwards.
Bonnie's father.
Okay,
Then,
okay,
not
fine.
only that, Major Diwan and Cecilia's father, that
Oh, okay.
Bonnie's wife's father.
Okay, right. They were here in Darjeeling.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Mukhias were there.
Right. Monica Mukhya.
Mr. Mukhya was to be in North Point, Cornelius's father.
Gerald
Ah,
Mukhya.
yeah.
Well known. And then C.B. Rice,
Mr. Rai. Okay. Oh, that means
Namchus, Leopolds.
Hooker Roadside and Kazari
Then the
Roadside.
siblings were here also.
Siblings, okay. But
Yes.
now I think
They
there
all
were two sisters were
They all
here.
gone. They all gone. Father.
One of them passed last year, I think.
Yes.
Or siblings.
Yes.
Fine. I'm so happy to know you can name some. How about plants?
Absolutely.
Mr. Plant, his father was here also, no?
They come from Burma. So yes, father was here. Yes. The entire
Major Plant, he built that lovely chapel in Bethany.
Bethany was
Was
built
his
by
first.
him. Yes.
Okay.
Austin Plant
I wanted
was
to
in
tell
school
you
with me.
also our cemetery in
Right.
Singtham.
Uh-huh.
Singtham. No? Where-
Singam.
No, that, below North Point College.
Below North Point College.
You mean,
The
Maila Baji's area.
okay, where? I mean, it's still there, no?
Yes.
It's still there.
That my parents are buried there. Those
Okay,
days. Because Daddy died in 1960.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it from the college.
Yeah, right from
Yeah.
our department we can
That
see.
was, really looked after by there was a very nice British Gurkha colonel called Colonel
Mercer.
Mercer. So he's the one who looked after that, cemetery really well.
Okay.
Then part of the other side of it belonged to the Protestant, the Anglican Church, and different. And then there was a war memorial, and all. It's quite an iconic place that. If you look at it.
So you mean the one that side, no?
Yes, and
Because
my-
there are three here. One is that one.
Yes.
The other one is below Government College.
Not that one.
Not that one. And the what we call the new cemetery is
Yes.
below the former Sama garage.
Yes.
If you go below Campion Hall down that road,
Yeah, I saw. I
My
understood.
father
that.
buried at the end.
right in the corner.
But
So-
it was Colonel Mercer was a very good Catholic. He was a British Gurkha, and he looked after. He was very involved in the church activities of.
Yeah, I think now it's the thing is looked after by the cemetery committee
Yes.
of Singwari.
Yes. All
So you-
Malcolm Chetri and all that.
You go there sometimes, no?
We go there for.
I would also love to go one day.
go there.
Uh,
Because my mother was buried. My mother was buried at how many? My father died in 60. My mother died in 2005.
okay, we still want to ask so many things, but I want to talk like you worked with the Loreto sisters of then and now. You worked with the Jesuits of then and now.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I would like you to, if you have any, no, your what do you remember most dearly, or your experience growing with the Loretos, working with the Loretos, almost what, 27,
Yes.
what do you call? I mean,
Mine was 30 years.
30 years. You said 57 years.
57.
Mine.
You know, I began school.
Yeah.
That time I've been to 3 generations of Jesuits. One is the Belgian mission.
Okay.
All right.
one
Great
who-
teacher like Father Bouvet, who taught for 50 years, he made a great impression on me. He left Belgium, came to Darjeeling, came to North, and never went back.
Okay.
So for me, that was a great example. Father Stanford. Later, then Mr. Morris Banerjee.
Yeah, I mean, I know his books and all by him.
Then from Belgians, it went on to the Canadians.
Mr. Boris Banerjee was the one
Physics
who had the
books.
mass, last time?
Yes.
Correct. He died in Mumbai.
No, he died.
Right,
in
Darjeeling.
Darjeeling, that means he is better off, I think. Somebody is mass
Yes,
here.
that is Morris's wife.
Wife, yeah.
And Morris's wife is the Lobo family, married to. She was a part of that Lobo.
Viveka's aunt.
Sisters, Viveka's aunt.
Okay. No. When you said, because I remember conducting that service there. So I remember seeing you all also.
Yes.
And I remember please carry on.
Then after the Belgians, they were very great educationists. For example, almost 24 hours they would teach. So I learned a lot of dedication from them. And then went on to the Canadians, Stanford and people like that, And then I saw that, and then the third phase was our Indian fathers.
Right.
Great legacy of the Jesuit education that began with Father de Pelcinan right down till today.
Till Father Kinley, you were also after.
I was Father Kinley I was his teacher for 3 years, class teacher.
You were his teacher, then later he came as a rector.
He came as rector and provincial.
I have something to add. Father Kinley, I taught music when he was a small boy.
In Bethany.
Bethany.
So that's
Not Bethany, in North Point.
So any do we are running out of time, but still I want to ask you said you would still. I remember you said in your next life also if you come you will teach in North Point. Remember?
Yeah.
You telling me.
Yeah.
So that's how. So after that, after you telling me that, I don't want to ask you how much you enjoyed or how much you liked. Okay. So what's your take, or what would you like to share?
When I was in college. Or
No, I mean your teaching career with
I've had
the great Mother Damien.
Yes, she was a great. She was my mentor. She shaped me. In fact, she's the one who tutored me for my MA and my PhD more than anybody else. She was someone you can't describe in 1 or 2 words.
Apart from sister, who were there?
We had good teachers. We had a good English department when I was a student. So I've gone through Mother Damien both as a student as well as a
teacher.
Colleague. Yes.
Then were there any other sisters?
There were when I joined there were very few because I think most of the lay staff had taken over because she was there from 1964
David?
till 2002.
Okay.
She was very fierce.
We've only heard about and I have seen her.
No, but she was larger than life, Father. So then she was so inspiring. So I couldn't have asked for a. When I think of the most complete nun, it is Mother Damien. But I have come across many very iconic, not just iconic, but very impressive Loreto sisters on the whole, Father.
Right. So,
And I'm sure even now they are still of that, in their time, because they are very challenging times now. So I have great admiration for what they are doing.
definitely, they're coming from.
Yes, and
particularly
during the pandemic times and the agitation times, We've got a lot of harrowing stories at Loreto, which is you don't have the time, but they are fantastic stories. Some of them anecdotes, some of them,
Okay.
But we went through it together.
Went through and sailed through.
Yes, and if you've already talked to the Rise, so they will tell you that as a staff we were very, what is the word for it? We all stood together.
Right. Okay. I don't know whether. Okay. Now, how do you feel? Okay. It was Loreto, and later on, of late, the sisters have
Given it to the
given up. There might have been some reason. The sister Teresa McKenzie once was giving me a long. She showed me any reason or something. But now it's Southfield.
But we still feel, I still feel that attachment, even though it's Southfield, because it still has the atmosphere. They haven't, the system hasn't collapsed or anything like that. There's still, there are many of the students who are there right now. I'm glad to say, for students I also taught.
So
In the same way, many of the teachers in North Point, from Andre Lefevre to Noel Rai, most of them have been through me in school.
Right.
I've taught them.
Noel, okay, I know Noel. I know them. So with that trend, the culture continues.
Yeah,
Yes.
it has to. It is continuous.
I want to feel that, that we emptied ourselves so that they could continue.
Right.
So we continue in them. Prashansha, right?
Right.
She, Angelica.
Angelina, okay.
These are all
The-
students, and some of the best students, the really best students from Loreto College and other places went to these different schools.
So that's
So that is an achievement, Father.
wow. That's a very good.
And they carry a bit of us, I hope, in them.
So now, as I know, now I can safely call you as patron of Darjeeling, looking from up at this right. I wouldn't say right way, just that.
We're the lovers of Darjeeling.
Yeah. The other word which I would say is even caretakers of Darjeeling. I would say.
Good word, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we want
Beautiful.
So on this note, as caretakers of Darjeeling, what have you to say to the youth, to the new generation, to the new wave? Wave is not the right word. To the, let's say, the time now.
Evolve and develop, but never lose sight of your values. And one more thing I forgot to tell you. I think Christ washed the feet of his apostles, the serve. Okay, came to serve. I think the greatest virtue is service. It is no other privilege. So we've done our best to our students. I hope in the eyes of God we have been good servants.
Okay.
And we hope that our students who are carrying on, whatever sphere they're in, will be good servants, and not in the real sense of giving service with values.
We call diaconia model. That's what basically in the theological parlance we call it diaconia model. No, I haven't prepared this question which I am about to ask you, but it just came to my mind. Could be a divine inspiration. What is your message to your past students?
My message.
Yeah, your message. I'll ask. So we end this interview with this. But what is your message to your past students?
That they have many challenges in front of them. They have many choices. So I would say choose wisely. Choose areas where you will be happy in your work. All right.
Yeah.
You need to progress. You need to keep up. It's a big jungle out there. You need to evolve. You need to. Our values should be ingrained in them, but should also help them to go forward for their own, survival and life.
Right.
And above all, keep your life simple.
And with the spirit of Loreto, I don't know,
Absolutely.
Dum Spiro, what is that? Your motto?
Cruci dum spiro fido. I've taught Latin, I've learned Latin. Dum spiro, while I breathe, on the cruci means on the cross. While I breathe, I hope.
I hope.
Cruci Dum.
Spirit.
I have seen this monogram every day I see, but I have never been
Well,
there.
I learned Latin from the my teachers,
Okay.
and I taught it for 3 years.
Latin.
Yeah,
Wow. So you know the real radice of
I can
English.
get down to the roots. You know.
Radice.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to show I know a little bit. Anyway, what is your message to your past students? I mean, 57 years.
My message is this. Actually, I thank God for giving me the students to help me to live out not my profession, but my vocation, my dream, for making it for me. And remember, it takes 2 hands to clap. I couldn't do it alone, they couldn't do it alone, but together we did it.
Fantastic.
We served.
Yeah.
Right? And for the future generations, just carry on what you're doing. Evolve, grow, and may you go from peak to peak. The sky is the limit.
From peak to peak.
And then we tell them that God didn't put us into the world for ourselves. God put us into the world for others. Like you, Father Alex, your vocation is to serve people.
Yep. And I liked your quote. What do you call?
My cricket.
Yeah, cricket.
I was cricket coach. I was a player. I was awarded this for playing good cricket.
Wow.
You know why he wears it? So that he'll never be out.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you so much.
one
Yeah.
more, Father.
Please.
We want to thank our students too. As he said, we want to thank our students for giving us the opportunity, to serve.
Yeah.
All right, and we've had fantastic experiences with students. I know they've been shivering and shaking, but
Were you like that? You don't look like that.
in the classroom I was a disciplinarian, but that's because I wanted the best out of my students. It was never biased.
I was slightly different. In class I was very strict, but during the free period I was one of the students. I mixed with them, I joked with them, I played with them. That's
Yeah, but we were told in college, for example, by Mother Damon, never be too familiar.
I was
Be
never
there for them,
familiar.
but
I was
never be
friendly,
too familiar.
but never familiar.
So,
the famous saying, familiarity breeds contempt.
Wow,
That's what she
what a
used to
quote,
say.
Father.
but there was more to it then, because I had a lot of soft spots for many children that I wanted to help. And mind you, the ones we helped were not the ones we helped. The ones we didn't, we just spoke to in class. They are the ones who remember, and they come back.
Right.
But lovely experiences.
Wow, it was really great. प्रिय दर्शकवृन्द साँच्चै नै हाम्रा यी दुई दिग्गज
But the three of you, it's been such a joy, Father,
thank you so much.
to have us here.
Manu,
Have you all?
I think Father's going to
Okay, Father.
No, thank you. No, it's okay. Thank you so much for taking this, letting us talk to you.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
या प्रिय दर्शकवृन्द अहिले हामीहरू है दुई दिग्गज टिचरहरू आइम स्योर क्लोरेटोको एक्स स्टुडेन्टहरू जसले हेर्नुहुँदैछ नर्थ पोइन्टकोले तपाईँहरूलाई फेरि पनि एकपल्ट उहाँहरूसँगको यो के भनौँ भेटघाट यो माध्यमद्वारा गर्ने मौका पाएँ यसको लागि धन्यवाद चढाउँदै हुनु त मोस्ट अफ आवर कन्भर्सेसन वाज इन इङ्ग्लिस बट आई नो बेसिकली एभ्री वान इन दार्जिलिङ अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड्स इङ्ग्लिस यो पनि उहाँहरूकै देन हो एउटा देनै म भन्छु सो थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच र आजको यो सोलाई हामी यहीँ अन्त गर्दछौँ तपाईँको क्रिया प्रतिक्रिया तपाईँ हामीलाई दिन सक्नुहुन्छ मेरो वाट्सएप नम्बर छ 9641872925 अनि हाम्रो इमेल आइडी छ divyavani@darjeeling.com अनि हाम्रो यो सोहरू हाम्रो युट्युब च्यानल मार्फत हेर्न सक्नुहुनेछ हाम्रो युट्युब युआरएल छ दार्जिलिङ दिव्यवाणी प्रस्तुति प्लिज भिजिट लाइक एन्ड सब्सक्राइब सबैलाई हेभ अ वन्डरफुल डे थ्याङ्क यू
Thank you.